Okay, so again, we're in Marcos' house, and we're talking about the ability to heal people.
Yes, and I was giving you, an unimportant example to specify things about money and psychoanalysis, which I think is very important. So there was that young student. He was spending his junior year abroad. You know the program.
Yes.
Came for a program in France, and he became very depressed. So his father flew in from New York and met me with the son, because you cannot take somebody who is not an adult without
The upper purpose.
so, and I explained to him that it would be 45-minute sessions and it would be 45 euros. And he said, 45 euros a minute? And I said, of course not, an hour. And he said, no. I said, why? Is it too much? And you just tell me. He said, no, it's not enough. It doesn't sound serious. So, and the story had a good end because the boy came back alone and he said, that kind of money I can afford.
I can afford on myself.
Yes, and pay for himself.
Yes.
So we did something very illegal. I received him without the technical consent of the father, but we pulled him out of depression.
So you know that there is a success for this work.
Oh yes,
yes, for sure.
For sure.
And tell me another question, like from the other side but connected. Did you always was a kind of guy that whenever there is an opportunity for music and fun, you step up and you dance and you sing? Or this is something
No, no.
since you were young?
Yes. Yes.
Like no shy,
well,
always like I wouldn't say that you're a party. You are a party, but I think there is something deeper than being a party boy.
Well, you see, that's one that
I think it's connected to the thing that you're talking about pulling from depression.
yes, but it's also connected to what we said about Greece. As I said last time, I came to Greece for the first time when I was 16, and that I think changed that did away with shyness and.
Tell me,
I don't remember.
give clues to someone that's coming first time to Greece, maybe this year.
Well, I don't know. You know, this, as I said, it was a very strange and personal experience that I found myself in a cafe where they asked me to stay to work because the waiter had broken his leg in front of us. So they asked me to stay to help with the tourists.
Did you had other plans at that time?
I had just arrived in Greece with a sleeping bag. You know, I could have.
And they asked you to stay, and immediately you hear like a voice, "Do it," something like that, or
no? It's just that these people were, they were waiting for those big buses, air-conditioned buses full of tourists. They didn't speak English. They were totally lost by the fact that that waiter had broken his leg. They said, "Can you stay 1 hour for the next bus?"
For the next bus.
And
they say 1 hour change your life.
Yeah, no, but it started.
It started.
And then I stayed the whole month.
Whole month.
And then I came back the summer after. So 3 summers in a row I came to work.
And this is when you learn to speak the language?
Yes, and dance.
And dance.
So they were, I was like the fun thing to come and see the French man who dances on tables with them.
Yes.
So that did away with timidity.
And then, like after 3 years, you were coming back to France and you're starting your study.
I came every summer.
Every summer, ever since then. Yeah. And on the other side, in the so-called organized Europe, France, you're studying, you're making a career.
Yes, exactly. It was fairly dissociated.
In France, you also dance?
No, you see, that's what I did.
You don't dance.
Where would you dance?
Nightclubs? No, there is clubs. No, you don't go.
No. First, I have no time.
Yes.
And then this has to do with what is special here for me. Language, that music. I don't know. Something happened, which I never totally understood, but something happened.
And you refer to the fact that you came into Greece, that this changed?
Yes, I think, well, my first experience of Greece was in France, because at the time we started receiving exiles for political reasons.
Yeah,
exactly. So I heard, I was part of an Amnesty International group, so I started reading, and then I wanted to go. But the year I wanted to go, there was still the dictatorship, and we all believed, I mean, organizers believed that you should not give money as a tourist to, so I refrained from going for a long time. And then 1974, this is my first time here, I went anyway. We will see. I went with my sleeping bag, and that's the year with a friend. Yes. And this is the year that saw the end of the junta. Yes. They fell in 1974. So that was a strong experience.
What are you planning, or you don't plan, but what would you imagine or make a vision for yourself for the next 10 years? Or you don't do things like that?
No, I want to write.
But you know, you're a tricky guy. From one hand,
Freaky?
Tricky. I mean, not tricky, but like exactly like France and Greece. From one hand, you're a professor and a psychoanalyst, which is a very organized work, and from another hand, you're a guy with a cigarette and a ouzo and a microphone. You know.
Well, yes, but I really don't make plans. The only thing I would really love to do would be to write another novel.
To write another novel. You told me a beautiful expression which I didn't know about Freud. That what make a man a man.
Yes.
Can you complete it? Can you say it again?
Yes. He said that to be a man, but man not in the sense of man as opposed to woman. To be a man.
Not Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Like mensch.
Like mensch.
Yes, something
to
like
be a mensch.
He said mensch, I suppose.
After all, we are all.
So to be a mensch, you should, or I don't know what the motto was, but you must have a child, plant a tree, and write a book. So
and you did all these three.
Yes, but because I'm a competitive person myself, I wrote 4 books. I mean essays before that novel. Yes. Novel is the first, but I wrote essays before.
Oh, you wrote like theory books?
Yes.
About literature?
Literature and psychoanalysis on trauma and what to do.
Interesting. By the way, this is the book that Mărcos wrote, Greek Shadows, in translation to English.
Thank you. And so I wrote several books, several essays. I had 2 children, not 1. And I planted 7 trees.
7 trees.
To make sure.
To make sure.
No, but I think I heard about that sentence after everything.
After you did it.
But I thought it was fun.
Okay. I did write 1 book, but I need to do another one.
Yes. Yes. And again, I told you before this time that people say that you become a writer when you write your second book. And it's true that the first one it comes by itself. It's sort of something you carry for years, and all of a sudden I seized the opportunity of COVID. I mean, I had nothing to do all of a sudden. No classes, no patients, very few patients only on internet.
How long it took you to write?
About 6 months. But the launching into the real writing as opposed to just notes was a matter. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Stop it. Cristina. Cristina. Ποια Stamattina κάνουμε το interview. Μπορείς να πας στην άλλη πόρτα. Η νέα μου Μιχάλης εκεί.
But this is nice. This is Greece.
So you heard, yes.
This is like Israel, by the way.
This is when we bought this house, it has a big inconvenience. I mean, they presented it as an inconvenience. The road goes by here, not a big road, a small road that not very.
The road to Castiglione.
Yes. So not many cars, but and they said, do you mind the noise? In fact, there is no noise, as you can see. But people were very honest. The disadvantages of this house, and I thought, well, maybe it is a disadvantage. I don't know. And now what I see is that people stop. The bus, for example, that goes to Castiglione. We know the driver. Yes. So he stops his bus here. He doesn't get out of the bus. We speak from the door. Every other car is waiting. He wants to talk. And people come in, come out. it's exactly as I wanted it.
What do you think the good advice that Greece or Karpathos, as a nation, can give humanity? Like as you're describing a very nice phenomena that a bus driver with a schedule starting with a tourist that have a schedule, and all of a sudden they have a meeting of hearts. Exactly. Which I think this is in a way, some of the essence of life. And in a way, you don't find it not in school, not in the hospital, not in bank. I mean, you find it in the edges of the bank, of the hospital, of the school. What is the good advice or the good quality or value that Greece or Karpathos can give to the world? That you would like something that you see in your life over here?
But exactly what you said, the bus driver is a very good example. I gave you the other day the example of the old lady who's 94, who has once and for all 10 years ago decided that I couldn't cook, which is not totally true, but she insists that I cannot cook. And when I'm alone here, which happens quite often, she brings me food. I mean, she's 94. She said, oh, it's no problem. I've cooked for myself, so I did it for two. And all those little things together are about the soul of Karpathos to me. I never found that anywhere else.
So it's like different essence of mensch, of humanity, of
yes, and relation, link,
relations.
Yeah, and all this warmth that tourists speak about when they mention Greece. There's only one side of the coin. I know I can count on these people, and I hope they know they can count on me. And they do, let me give you an example that sounds to my advantage, but that's not my point. The man who transformed this house for us, rehabilitated it. He does everything. He's a man of jack of all trades. He also sings. Vasilis,
Vasilis.
Not Vasilis Asteri. Vasilis from Pelagos.
Vasilis from Pelagos. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
That grow vegetables.
Yeah, exactly.
Potato.
So Vasilis.
He's a mensch.
Yeah. Oh. So you will see. I mean, he does so many favors. For example, when I said, "Can you do the house for me?" Because I knew he needed jobs. He said, "Never." I said, "What? You're the best person to do it. I trust you entirely." And he said, "Oh no, that's not the point. When I work for people, I fight with them. I don't want us to fight. So we're friends. I'm not working for you now," because I was disappointed. He said, "But I will find every single
structure.
He found the plumber. He found the electrician. And I will." I will oversee. I will check that they give you great prices, and then that they do it well. So he did it, and if you try to pay me, I kill you. So we're talking about somebody who'd done me huge favors. One day he came here, fumbling with his hat, and he said, "I have something to ask you." Ask.
That's a great description.
Remember, he was here. And he said, "Can you, okay, I'll tell you. I'm going to be thrown out of my house because I cannot pay the mortgage. I have not paid for 2 months." We're talking about the Merkel crisis, the wrong thing she did to Greece. Yes. And that was a moment when if you didn't pay 3 times, they took away the house from you. He said, "Can you lend me money?" He said. And I didn't have much money at the time. I was expecting, I don't know how much he was paying me. And I said, to be so embarrassed, he was so embarrassed that I thought it would be a big amount of money. So I said, "Tell me what you need and I'll see what I can do." He needed not to be thrown out, 200 euros.
Wow.
And now.
What is the story of the economic crisis of I know there is a poor quotation of Angela Merkel that when we were working in Germany, they didn't work in Greece.
Yes, exactly.
It's a poor and not right.
Yeah, I was thinking of Merkel yesterday. When I discovered, I went, the person who makes you pay at Pelagos, the cashier.
The lady.
Woman, yes.
The lady from Olympus.
Quite elegant.
Tula,
right. Yesterday I went to pay for my water. Yes. At the town hall.
Yeah.
And she was doing that. She's working 8 hours a day at the town hall, and every evening
yeah.
as okay, and she's not the only one. So many Greek people I know have 2 or 3 jobs.
Yes.
They run. You know, Yorgos, the one who dances so well from Crete.
Okay.
He was a waiter at Esteri last year, and now this year he comes just to see us.
Yes.
He has 3 jobs. So
Wow.
when Merkel say this is a lazy country, which is what she said, I wish she came here.
I totally not agree.
Yeah, I disagree too.
And I think I don't know, but it's look like someone did a wrong agreement towards them.
Yes, I understand that there were corrupted people at the head of Greece, and
Everywhere.
okay, so I understand that something had to be done, and all Greeks understand. But when you think, for example, that the pension here was 600 euros for many people, and that all of a sudden it became 300 in one day,
It's a shame.
it was just it was impossible. And they never complained. I've never heard them complain
Yes.
about this.
Exactly.
The only the slight aggressivity I perceived was against Merkel as a person. She did that. Yes.
It's a poor and it's not respected comment to say.
She tried to buy the airport. She bought 12 airports in Greece for nothing.
Really?
Yes. But this one was saved from German invasion because it is partly military.
I know.
We are 30 kilometers away from Turkey, so this is the part of the airport is military, so she could not buy it. And we're glad, because had she bought it, we would pay for parking. We don't pay for parking.
Yes.
I leave my car.
And we will have air condition.
Yes.
Now we don't have.
And we would have things that say what time the plane gets in, which we don't have.
Which we don't have.
It's fine. It's just fine.
I mean, it's so nice, this airport. It's a big mess, but it's so nice.
And you've come here for 2 years, you said?
This is my second day here.
So what you see is the new airport.
I know.
The other one was half this. It was a mess. Arrivals were at the same place where departures. It was just an incredible thing.
Yeah, but this is, in a way, I know, like, several times I was thinking, it's a good example. I was thinking, I would go to someone in the municipality and I would tell them, it's the gate to Karpathos, fix the air condition, fix that, fix that. But then after, it's a diffusion of 1 hour, and then people are off grid and they know what's going on.
Yes, yes. And
it's a good welcoming.
It's a good sign of what will happen to
them. Yes.
And many people are discouraged, which is fine.
What do you mean discouraged?
When they see the airport and how it works,
they
waiting for a taxi for half an hour, no buses. Yes. No buses don't correspond to the moments where the planes are.
But it's written that there is a public bus. Where is the public bus?
Yes, where is the public bus? What time? And that's fine. Two organized people don't choose Karpathos.
Yes.
We don't want organized people. We want their.
So let's talk about the 10 or 5 important sentence about Karpathos. We don't want organized people. It's a place of a heart.
Yes.
And it's a place of music.
Yes. And music says it all. When you start listening to, the Greek traditional music is a result of poetic experience. I mean, many of the songs you hear, and probably don't realize where the words come from, lyrics come from, are in fact poems, leading Greek poets. So Rissos, Seferis. And so even a totally illiterate bouzouki player is speaking literature, he's speaking poetry, and real poetry, striking images. So music is like the center because it expresses other things. You said nice people, relationship, heart, but there's also pain.
Pain, a lot of pain.
Yes, there is hidden, palpable pain. Hidden, palpable, that you can touch.
Yes.
You can feel it in every song.
Yes.
But just the way Vasilis, as I described, he would not complain. He was embarrassed to complain. So you don't complain here. But you can feel the pain.
But you can sing.
It's this is a cliche vision, but when I go to Italy, for example, I get the feeling everybody's happy, everybody's warm, everybody's nice, but where's the pain?
Come on.
No, the cliche I said,
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, I mean, sure they have pain, but I totally know because I eat my breakfast in Constantino's hotel, and over there there's a club of Italian tourists.
uh so
And
you
they
know.
all smart.
So the relation, you see, for example, when somebody dances, you will hear it many times. When people are doing the personal dance, sebekiko, the one that has no steps. You know, you do what
There's
you.
no steps, but I got several warns. Don't go to the Bekiko because you don't know what you're doing.
Okay, so just to give you a link with what we were saying, when people want to encourage a dancer, they say, "Doste porno," give it pain.
Doste pono,
Doste porno.
doste pono.
So
Give it pain?
yes, give you express your pain.
Express your pain. Wow.
So it's true that more and more many people will dance it as something fancy and make gymnastics, and it's impressive. But some people will just stand, make few movements, uh, feel they are hanging from the sky. It's just, and you can feel the pain. So I'm very sensitive to that as a central experience. You know, it's not nice. You know, it's not a series of things. It's the essence of what you're asking about can be found in music and dance here. I mean, traditional things.
Yes.
Yes, poetry. We are talking about living poetry.
What are going to be about your next writing?
I, I don't know. You see, well,
This is now. But what's going to be the next one?
I'm
It
hesitating.
might be poetry.
You see, part of I don't want to spoil it, but the Frenchman has a Jewish father who always hid it from him.
You hid it from him. What? His Judaism?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he'd been through the war, which is absolutely not my case this time.
Okay.
But so I found it
You
interesting.
are two strong Jewish parents?
No, not that strong, but nothing hidden.
Nothing hidden.
Uh, so I thought it was interesting to compare the silence that narrator, young Lucas, had experienced in his childhood, his father's silence, and the silence of the Greek political exile. So so it ends on a note in which I've told you that so they meet in Igoumenitsa, the Greek man escaping from prison, but we don't
In your book.
in the book. Asks the Frenchman to take him to Paris. So
And then they disappear from each other.
Yeah, well, no, the Greek man disappears from Paris, where
Yes.
the other one is taken. And so the narrator, Lucas, follows him to here, to Karpathos.
This is all in this book.
and it ends by their finding each other, but we don't know to the very end if it's a hallucination, if the Frenchman goes on hallucinating the presence of a man he has finally understood he had fallen in love with, that's totally out of his perception for a very long time. He's just feeling he's doing something nice to a political exile. And somebody who's been in prison, who's been tortured, he's helping someone and not realizing that it's more than that.
He's falling in love.
Yes, he doesn't know that. Yeah. He's a perfect idiot in many respects, innocent. You know? And so in the end, they meet again on my beach, and nobody will tell you. I mean, you will never know at this point if it's a hallucination or if the other one had again escaped. Because in fact, no, I cannot tell that. That was the point. But anyway, there is a doubt as to whether he's alive or not. And so I have a strong impulse to do a second.
Continue.
Yes.
So it might be that the second book will be a continuation in a way.
Yes, sorry, and I'm speaking of important things, so I lose my thread. But the reason, when people read this book, one of the questions, you know, you present your book in bookshops and in different circumstances, people tell me, why does the Jewish thread inside the book take so little space? For me, it was obvious that there was a link between the silences, the father, and so I started writing the following, because the son, Lucas, the narrator, also disappears. He gives no news to his parents. Yes. And so the father comes to Karpathos to find his son. It's a sort of repetition of the gesture of finding. And this time we're going to hear about the father's history, his silence, and how he wished he had communicated with him.
By the way, your parents visited Karpathos?
No.
No.
My father died some 10 years ago. No, 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
And my mother is an old lady. She doesn't take things anymore. And she doesn't like the heat.
How much Judaism take part in your life? Does it take any part at all?
Yes, it does, yes.
You've been a volunteer in Hanita for several months.
Yes.
When you were young.
10,000. Don't say when you were young, when you were younger. Is what you
I mean, you told me it was in the youth movement. Yes?
Yeah. So,
when you were younger.
But you see, that can also, that part, there is, it took me time to try to express that. But I think I can feel at home here because I have no home. That is, that's how it's related to Judaism.
And this is Judaism?
Yes, I think.
Like no home.
The fact that
France is not your home, Israel is not your home.
No,
and over here, Karpathos can be a home.
You know, when we went to Hanita, one of the first things they told us is, you have to understand that here you are ordinary.
You are what?
Ordinary. You're common day. Everybody's Jewish.
Yeah.
So stop, you know, playing the snobby Jew who is different from everybody. And I think that's important. It is part of my relation to here. It is a place I know from the start that I will never belong to. I can give it all my heart. It can give me all its heart, but there will always be something.
You will always be a stranger?
Yes. And you know, the Mרכוס, the song you hear me sing several times, has those words. I came as a foreigner, and I will go back as a foreigner or stranger. It's the same word. Xenos.
And this is a Jewish thing?
I think it's at least it's. I know there are other ways of considering Judaism. Some people believe in having a country.
Yeah. I mean, some people. Look, I grew up in a kibbutz, so you're very touched to the land, blah blah blah. But I think there is. I think every intelligent person feel a feeling of strangers in this life.
Yes. So. I don't know.
I don't want to go into too much mysticism, but there is an idea that we are guests on this land.
Yes, and I like that.
And if you're not intelligent, you go all the way.
I don't know if it's, again, I don't remember what is in the part that we lost of the interview or not. But I told you the other day, for example, I find myself going to the national parade here. Now, try to catch me in France on the 14th of July going to a parade. And you know, the parade is everything I hate. Military people, the church is present, the national anthem is played, I sing it and I cry. So
here in Greece,
it's twice a year. This is the only country that has two national, like the 14th of July in France, they have two here. One to commemorate the end of the Turkish invasion, and one the victory against Italians.
It's the Ochi Day, not the day that they say no to Italy.
Yes, exactly.
The Ochi Day.
Yes. So they have two, and I go to the two when I can.
Before we end, there's two things. One you will choose, and one I will choose. I want to hear again, if it's okay. You said a very nice. I asked you, what do you have to say about love? And you gave something in the other interview, like it's two forces. One is that, something like that. Can you say a little bit about this with a feeling of a hope to the patients, to the listeners about love?
Well, you know, it's standard not everything in psychoanalytical theory is as accessible, but this is one of the bases, and it is important that we have two contradictory instincts.
Two contradictory
instincts.
Instincts.
Sleep.
Okay.
One love, the other death. One that that makes you meet people, love people, build families, or love relationship, whatever. All that participates in your construction. But at the same time, and it's contradictory, but both are present, they are forces that drive you towards destruction. Towards your own destruction, you do things that are harmful to you, and you cannot help yourself. You know, like smoking.
Smoking, they always give this expression. I'm asking myself about myself. Last night I was sitting in the cafe. Everybody was happy, but I didn't. And I said, okay, Izhar, go home. And I went home. Is this the instinct of love or the instincts of death?
You know.
For me, I think this, in that moment, it was an instinct of love. Like I say, for me, it's good to be now in the room. But it might be, according to the theory that you say, that the instinct of love is to engage with people.
Exactly. But again, sometimes we also need, finding yourself with yourself is not necessarily destructive. And one of the aspects of the death drive is destruction of others
as well.
Because it's,
like when you put others down,
exactly.
All
the, well, God
when
knows
you do a war against Lebanon, Syria, Gaza, Israel, Turkey, whatever.
Yes, that's a difficult subject. Yes, but yes. So, part of the healing process is not to make that death instinct disappear, but it's to recognize it, most of the time in the form of the aggressive emotions, but also the self-directed. Smoking was just a little example. But if you do serious things that are against your own happiness all the time. So the healing, in my terms, has to do with becoming conscious of inner conflicts, not necessarily solving them all, but knowing where you stand, and acquiring a certain amount of peace.
Amen for that.
But it's not, you said advice. It's not a piece of advice. It's something people, I think, should strive for. Not that we make it.
It's not 100%, but I do think it's a piece of advice. It can give a cloud of hope.
Yes, hope. Yes, hope. Hope is important, especially now.
Yes. What is the last thing, really, that you want to say in this interview, besides thanking me and thanking Greece and Karpathos and your parents and whatever? What is the one that you strive to talk about? You want to say, poetically even.
No, this takes me. But you see, I think you say aside from thanking me, but there's no aside from thanking you, because thanking you means that we had been able to enter into the kind of relationship that allows us to do that today, which I wouldn't have done for anybody. I mean, for someone I didn't know. So everything is linked. My thanking you is also a way of saying that we were, to a certain extent, I think, inspired by the place, inspired by that constant movement of languages, of that welcoming pattern, guests, you said, just like we are a guest in life. I think we can be a guest to other people, or try to be a host. And yes, this is about the essence of, to a certain extent, we talked about that Greek exile in the book. At a certain level of reading, even that love, I said that the narrator didn't know he felt. To a certain extent, Yorgos, the Greek guy, represents Greece itself. There's something that you will help, you will receive from, but will always remain at a certain distance. He's like, for me, yes, I wanted to write Greece in him. And
It's a beautiful understanding. And there is something beautiful about the way Greece behaves to the world. Look,
yes,
Greece is hosting billions of people every year,
yes,
and they all come back with a feeling that they experience something different that they wish they could bring into their life. And I think Greece is doing something as a lover.
And people, when they come, people, you see, I received an Israeli friend, somebody I met in France about 40 years ago. We meet sometimes, but not very often. And this time I had not seen him for 14 years. And he was, because of the situation in Israel, he wanted some days rest. And he said, can I come 3 days? And he came here. And he's the kind of person who spent his life reproaching me for not going to Israel enough, for not seeing him enough. And he came here, was here 3 or 4 days. And when he left, he said, now I understand. Now I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Sincerely.
you. I will say something in Hebrew, like a blessing. Can I give you a blessing?
Oh, yeah, look, there's a mezuzah here.
There's a mezuzah. I didn't say. Wow, this is amazing.
This part of the ambiguity you
I
would
think
notice.
it's the only house here with mezuzah.
I don't know about that. What I know is that it says a lot because people gave it. I mean, friends from Jewish friends from France came here and gave us that. But I was not courageous enough to put it outside.
Okay.
But it is here.
There's a beautiful blessing that refers to the Baal Shem Tov. He was a Hasidic rabbi.
Mhm.
And he says that people are asking when the Messiah is going to come. Like, when is going to be good?
That's a good question.
Yes, that's a good question. And Messiah, by the way, Mashiach is in another word for conversation, by the way.
Okay, it's not the same as song. Shir is song.
No, Mashiach is like that when you express yourself. It's another version. Mashiach is also a bush. It's a anyway. They asked the Baal Shem Tov when the Messiah was going to come, and the Baal Shem Tov's answer, I think it was the Baal Shem Tov, he answered, "לכשיפוצו מעיינותיך חוצה." It's mean that the Messiah, the utopic situation, will be when every one of us will take the spring, מעיינותיך, inside him and put it outside, and will give his water to the world. So I wish that you will, in your second book, in this book, in whatever you do, שיפוצו מעיינותיך חוצה. Let your springs be flowing outside.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a nice way
Thank
of
you.
finishing this. And as soon as that second book is written, that is within the next 10 years, I will tell you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. It was nice talking to you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Karpathos.